Take my bride, let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. This is where we will go. Nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile.
Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. Y'all probably know that I'm an American. And I'll let y'all know that I don't have any Danish blood in my family that I know of. And I don't really know any Danes. So I'd wager that if you asked the average American on the street to name a famous Dane from history, you'll most likely hear the name Hans Christian Andersen, the poet, novelist, and author of many famous children's stories, quite a bit. But if you ask me, the first guy I think of didn't do fairy tales. His work in the early Danish automotive industry was the real deal. Hans Christian Christiansen. He was born in 1876 in the very small town, please forgive me in advance for butchering any of these names, of Maglemmer, which was and still is located on the island of Lolland, one of the southern Danish islands that are off the coast of Germany. His was a large working-class family, his father being the local blacksmith. He grew up at his father's side and was a journeyman blacksmith by age 18. Quite an achievement. In 1894, he went south to the nearby town of Maribor to work for a local tooling company and apprentice towards machining as well. At the same time, he discovered competitive cycling and began to race. Within a couple of years, he was a well-known and respected bicycle racer and was making money in both purses and product endorsements. So in 1896, he decided to move to Copenhagen and put up a shingle, open his own bicycle shop. His shop was a success, offering repairs at first, but soon after new bicycles. Hans expanded his business and after a few years had the facility, money, and connections to grow his business even further. And the answer was cars. He began to experiment with them in 1899 after getting his hands on a few engines out of some German Kudel cars built the previous year. In his bicycle repair shop, he built a few experimental cars, both 3- and 4-wheeled. These were cycle cars, of course, very light and not very powerful, but they are amongst Denmark's first native-built automobiles. In 1901, he went all in on the automobile. Armed with his blacksmithing and machining skills, he established a new company, the Danish Automobile and Bicycle Factory H.C. Christiansen and Company, along with a friend of his, Mr. Wolf, who helped finance the whole project. A new facility in Copenhagen was set up and manufacturing of Christiansen's car designs began in earnest. The following year, he displayed 9 different cars at a 1902 local car show. Single-cylinder cycle cars, ranging from 2 to 6 horsepower with 2 forward speeds. He sold 5 of them at the show and had orders for more, even special orders. One customer asked him to make one of the 6 horsepower models into a commercial taxi. Hans did so in 1902, and this car was the first Danish taxicab ever built. Unfortunately, it was also quite noisy. The engine was prone to sputter, backfire, and just make an awful racket. After a few months of this, Christiansen decided to abandon his own engine temporarily, purchasing engines from Oldsmobile for future taxicabs and touring models. Hans renamed the company in 1904 to the Danish Automobile Factory H.C. Christiansen and Company, which was indeed Denmark's first ever dedicated automobile factory. No longer would the company make, sell, or repair bicycles. They're a car company now, which is commonly known as dansk. The production expanded at a rapid pace, designing bigger and better engines and more commercial chassis to fit them into. By 1906, Dansk offered taxis, buses, straight trucks, touring cars, and even agricultural equipment, all powered by their own four-cylinder 2.4-liter 12-horsepower engine of an L-head design. But their touring cars of 1906 and 07 were some beautiful cars. And using a 3-speed gearbox, their new engine, and shaft drive to the rear wheels, this car was as good, if not better, than the other European competition. And they did sell fairly well in the first couple of years, with over 75 built. Unfortunately, by 1908, it was quite clear that Dansk could not compete with the prices of the much larger European manufacturers, and by 1908, the last of the Dansk cars left the factory. Hans was not done by a long shot. He continued to expand his business into other ventures. He opened automobile dealerships in Denmark, even becoming the exclusive Danish dealer for Renault. He imported British Daimlers. He built and sold motorboats. And he also was amongst the first Danes to ever fly an airplane, and certainly was the first in his nation to establish a factory to build them. Hans Christian Christiansen's impact on Danish history, be it automotive, aircraft, or beyond, is absolutely no fairy tale. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.